This is Mitch, and welcome to the 1000houses.com podcast. I have the legend and the myth, Ron LeGrand. This guy is old. He goes way back.
Thanks, Mitch.
Unfortunately, so do I. So I go back there to the days when I was first starting, and Ron LeGrand made a definite impact and for sure changed the course of my life. That seminar that I went to the first time was so eye-opening and so overwhelming. I don't even know where I figured out to start, but I started in 27 years and I don't know, 2,500 houses later, I'm still here. And it's an honor to talk to Ron LeGrand. How you doing, Ron?
Man, I'm good. Ready
All
to
right. For those of you who don't know, you got started as what were you, some kind of repairman?
I was a mechanic and I was running the service station, and then I was the mechanic on top of that back in 1982 when I never even knew what real estate meant.
Yep. And then you got talked yourself into going to a seminar on how you too could get rich in real estate.
Yeah, of course, I didn't believe a thing they said until I got there, and then I got my interest. Next thing I know, I wound up in a 2-day event where they really taught me how to buy property. And I missed about 90% of that, but I got enough to go out and do my first wholesale deal within 3 weeks, I might add. And that $3,000 check was probably the most important check of my life.
Right? Changed your whole belief system, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So describe your career now from 1982 till 2000 and almost 22. Describe your career.
Well, that's 40 years long. Do you really want me to go back that far?
Yeah, in a nutshell, we could be here for 1,000 years, but
all right, in a nutshell, frankly, I was buying and selling all the junkers. That's all I knew how to do, all the low price stuff for all the way up through the 80s, well into the 90s. If I could buy it cheap, I'd buy it. I'd either wholesale it or rehab it. I didn't know anything about the terms business that I'm doing today. And in the mid 90s, actually 1999 was the year that we formed Global Publishing, but I started teaching. It's actually in 1987. That's when I took the stage for the first time at a Mark O. Harrelson seminar, selling a course that I just did. And I did our first 4-day training. Our first boot camp was in 1991. So that's how long we've been doing them ever since. And we do them all over the country. But in 95, I actually bought the office building that we're in now. And it's also the same year I started doing conventions, annual conventions, with a bunch of people in a room. And we did them every year since till 2008. And then this thing called a recession came along. And so we don't do them. We stopped doing them there for a while. And then shortly, I don't know, maybe 3 years later, we started back doing them, and then COVID hit in 2020, and so we haven't done one since. So a lot of things have changed. We have a company that, I don't know, 30, 40 people on the payroll, and thousands and thousands and thousands of students all over the country who came and learned the business, and some of them went out and started teaching the business. So I teach the teachers as well as the students before they become teachers.
There you go. But you're still doing deals all the time, right?
Yeah, still do deals. I'm not extremely active, but I'm still doing deals.
Yeah. So what is, this is a long, big career. You bought thousands of properties, I'm sure. What was some of the biggest mistakes? What's the biggest lessons you've learned? I know there's a lot of them, man, but so
I could do a book on that one. Okay. One of the biggest mistakes that people make coming into this business, they think they need their credit. I absolutely will not allow my students to use their credit. It's forbidden on Planet Ron. We don't need credit to buy houses, and we just need to learn how to buy them without credit. Okay, I quit counting the 3,000 houses probably 15 years ago now, Mitch. Time sure flies, doesn't it? I don't care anymore. But we don't go down to the bank and guarantee debt to buy houses. If you use your credit, you risk 3 things. You risk your credit, you risk your assets, and you risk your marriage. For what? To buy a house. As you well know, you can buy all of them you want without using your credit, and get banks out of your life, and nobody's controlling what you can do and what you can't do. So that's one of the biggest mistakes. But I think probably one of the biggest things that keep people from doing the business is basically between their right ear and their left ear. It's all up here, as you know. People come to us and they have misconceptions, and we have to first change their thinking before we can start teaching them anything useful in the world of real estate. They come into all these crazy ideas that they heard from other people who have no idea what they're talking about, and then sometimes they just come in and they don't feel like they're worthy and making a lot of money. I'm sure you've run across folks like that on a regular basis as well. They just don't think. They work all their life working on a job, swapping hours for dollars. Now all of a sudden I'm supposed to be making $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a house. Yeah, I don't believe it. So our job is to get them to get that first check, and so they start believing it. Just like I did in 1982. I didn't believe it either, really.
Until you got a check, right?
Yeah.
That first check is the most important check. It doesn't even matter if you make a little bit of money or a medium amount, or I mean, hopefully you don't make too much, because I've seen that ruin a lot of people. They go out and make 80,000 on their first deal. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like going to Vegas and coming home a great big winner on your first time there. It's probably not a good deal.
Yeah.
So, you know, the first time I got a check, it was only like $2,000 profit, but man,
Well,
it sure opened the door, you know, like
Yeah.
in your mind, it's like, I really can do this, and I really just did it.
yeah.
How often do you deal with investors that their spouse isn't on board? Because that happens a lot to me.
Oh, it happens a lot. But I always tell them, maybe if you quit belching baloney and start bringing home the bacon, maybe you can get your spouse on board. So, and then I also tell them, listen, don't go home and tell the whole world what you're going to do. Go get a check or two and then start sharing with them. And now you have a preponderance of evidence that it's actually real and not just something that you made up. You can't blame a spouse for not believing that they're going to also and all of a sudden make $10, $15, $20,000 on a real estate deal when they've been scraping for pennies all the years that they've been married and just getting by. Like I said, it's a mindset change. And it's not an easy mindset change. That's why that first and second check are so important. You cannot, I can't tell you how many times they go out and they get a check, and now all of a sudden the spouse is their biggest fan. In fact, they become the cattle prod. Get out there and get another check.
Yeah, start kicking them out the door. Do
Some
it again, do it again.
some of the most successful people I know had a spouse that were absolutely against them when they started.
Mine was going to divorce me. For sure.
Well,
She probably should have, but
Here, Mitch, let me give you a tip. I've been married for 56 years. Okay. There's no law that says you have to tell your spouse everything. Okay. Just,
so
I bet I get letters.
Ron,
I bet I get letters on that one, don't I? Huh?
Ron, get this. I didn't tell her because I already knew her answer was no. So I started buying houses on credit cards because that was the only money I could get my hands on, or so I thought.
Me too, brother.
By the time she found the credit cards, I was like $350,000 in debt.
Yeah,
and
well,
we found out.
I didn't have that much credit limit. I remember the first time I took my wife into an ugly house, little old 2-bedroom block house. You could see through the cracks in the walls and see outside, and the floor was doing this. She said, "You're not going to buy this, are you?" I said, "I already have, honey." That was the first deal that we did. We made $7,000 on that house. What the heck? So I'm glad I didn't listen to her.
Right. I'd be working at Walmart as a greeter if I listened to my wife.
Hey, you know, we're going to catch hell for these kind of comments, right?
Yeah. Okay. So let's do the
your
other
podcast,
CPA.
so they're going to be writing you. Huh?
But since those faux pas, I couldn't have done it without them. How's that?
Well, that's actually true. All right. You know, I've been married a long time, and the only reason that we've been married for so long is because my wife does not interfere with my business. She leaves it up to me. And for some folks that works. For some folks, they want to work together. That would not work in my family. If we had to work together every day, we probably wouldn't be together. So it's to each his own. But I do know some very successful couples that work together all the time.
We worked together for a long time. It's kind of better if you don't bring your family into it for a lot of reasons. But one is part of the reason that you're doing this business is to get free. And then you want to go on vacation for a week or take a month sabbatical. And you can't take your family members, because if you take them, the whole business stops. And so you got to be careful of what your goal is.
Well, in my case, that's not true. I'm fortunate enough to have built a team that operates without me. and they're not my family. And by the way, I learned that lesson the same way everybody else does. It is very difficult to fire your spouse. I will tell you that. So I never hired my spouse. In all these years, I've never actually had my wife work in my business on purpose, because in my case, he doesn't really want to be in it, and I'm okay with her not being in it. Then I don't have to worry about. And I'm telling you right now, I've made some bad decisions that she probably would have stopped me from making. I just didn't share them with her. And every man and every woman is going to do the same thing. They're going to make bad decisions, but I make decisions, Mitch. That's the important part. You and I, we make decisions. We make them fast because there's bigger ones coming right behind them, and we don't want them snowballing.
Almost too fast sometimes.
That's right. So what? The good ones outweigh the bad ones, and it all works out.
I had someone the other day say, "You sure screwed that up?" And I said, "Yeah, I did. That's the problem with a racehorse. Sometimes he jumps the string. You just you get kicked out of the race because you're too aggressive." So, but
well, somebody has to move the machine forward.
I'd rather be that way than lazy, huh?
So would I. Or can't make a decision and analytical to the point to where nothing happens, and because with that mindset, nothing will happen.
So I'm guessing you're about 75 years old and you're still teaching. And a lot of people say, and I'm sure they've asked me, but if you're so successful, why are you teaching? I think, there's a lot of reasons for that. So you're 75, you've done it all. You don't need to do anything anymore. Why do you still teach?
Well, what would you have me do?
That's one of the reasons that I say too. What am I going to do?
All right, well, here's something every one of your listeners needs to write down right now. Everyone needs something to look forward to. And I look forward to teaching. Do I have to? No. But I got to have something to do. My company is running without me. My real estate company, I'm almost never participating in them. I let other people do what they do best, and I taught them how to make decisions, and I trust those decisions. When you get to that point in your life, now you got a bigger problem. What the hell do I do every day? Right now, I got a bunch of classic cars sitting around my house. I work on them at night to stay busy. So it's either that or watch TV. And now, we're so virtual now, I don't even go I went into the office today for the first time, and I can't even remember how long, for a meeting. But everybody's got to have something to do. And I'm not one, and you're not one, to kill time and look for things to get out of work. We live for work. Work is what we do. So teaching is what I love to do. It's what you love to do. Your answer is the same as my answer. You don't teach because you have to. I can replace myself teaching if I want to, but I don't want to. Again, we all need something to do.
Yep. If a person has more than enough money and nothing but spare time, and they've got a ton of energy, that's a really bad recipe.
And a lot of people don't realize that till after they retire, and then wonder, why did I retire? Now what? There's only so much fishing and golfing one can do. There's only so much traveling one can do, for crying out loud. We've done our share of traveling. I'm not really excited about traveling, especially when I'm nothing to do when I get there. Sightseeing, send me a postcard as far as I'm concerned, but I'm weird.
Well, you're like me. I like the outdoors. I like to do stuff but that's why I stay busy. That's one of the reasons. The other reason is the teacher can usually end up being the smartest guy in the room if he'll listen to a student sometimes, because I know that you didn't think of everything in your course, but you heard it all over the years, and you were able to bring it all into this cauldron and make this very effective stew, with all these antidotes and all these things in it. So
that's not true, Mitch. I created every bit of it. I invented it all. Or not.
I know that's not true, because one day I told you I found the owner of signs by writing for sale and putting the sign in people's yard with my phone number, and we had a good laugh on that day.
Yep.
You said, does anyone else, after this long course, does anyone else have a way to find the owner of abandoned houses? And I raised my hand. And I said, well, I got a way you didn't cover. You said, what's that? I said, I put a for sale sign in the front yard with my phone number. Owner calls me every time.
Yeah, that'll get their attention.
So COVID, how do you see things changing post-COVID?
Well, we're going into, we're in a virtual world now. As a training company, we are doing way more virtual than we did before. We've been doing virtual for a long time, but we're an event company, as you know. We do live events, and we still do them. In 2020, we did none. And by the way, 2020 was one of our best years in a long, long time as far as revenue goes, because we had to go virtual. And the upside is you get a lot more people that can watch you when you go virtual. The downside is I hate sitting in front of this computer and doing events like that, but I didn't have any choice. So today I do at least 1 or 2 live events a month and 1 or 2 commercial virtual events. When I say live, I mean human beings in a hotel room. And of course, the virtual events are live as well, but still sitting in front of a tube like that. So it's a blend today for us. And I can tell you right now, live will never replace virtual, but some people will never get to a live. So it's working out okay.
Yeah. You don't get to feed off the audience as much when it's virtual, which is that I'm sure you miss, because I know
not just that. Nobody can sit in front of the screen for several days and get it all. They're all doing their stuff. They're all getting interrupted. Their minds are all over the place. They don't have any relationship building. They can't build any kind of a network. And we do live deals in class. They can't do that because they're sitting in front of the screen. And of course, then there's all the questions. And some of our mentors come to our class and they can sit down with them and discuss their personal situations and the problems that they got. There's just so many reasons why live is always going to be virtual. But now they can get them both and no extra charge to do them both.
Okay, so you've been talking about your terms course. Tell us a little bit about your terms course, then I'll tell everybody how they can get over and get a copy of it if they want it.
Well, they can go to my hour training. It's an hour and 15 minutes. I something on terms. That's the first thing they ought to do, and it'll be offered at the end. But it's basically today I buy on terms and I sell on terms, just like you do out there in Texas, except I lease option them out to the buyer. You sell them with owner financing. So we either buy them subject to, or we buy them on a wraparound, or we pay cash for them sometimes. But the key is we don't cash out of them, and we sell them on terms, which means we can deal with nice houses and nice neighborhoods and not all the garbage. Yeah, I've done my time dealing with all the junk. I mean, I still rehab a house every now and then, but it's not my business anymore. I don't do wholesale at all anymore because I'd rather keep the house. What people forget when they're wholesaling and rehabbing is they only get one check, they pay maximum taxes, and there's no more revenue in it. Unlike the terms business. I get money now, I get money monthly, I get money later, I get appreciation, I get depreciation, I get to build wealth. Many times the people I put in the house default and lose their deposit or their down payment, and I take the house back and I do it over. So it's an ongoing golden goose, I call them. They just keep on coming, and there's 50 times more pretty houses than there are ugly ones. So there's a huge, bigger market. Plus, I can deal in any price range. I mean, houses down to the medium price all the way up to $1 million, $1.5 million houses. I mean, they're everywhere you look. So when you're able to buy them on terms and then sell them on terms and get a great big check up front, when you put a tenant buyer or a buyer in it, it creates a whole new business. Actually, it's just totally different than the junker business.
Okay. This is one of those moments that really changed the way I think. These kind of ideas, these kind of strategies. I don't know that you were into pretty houses way back in '96, but I know that when I watch you teach about it, you're saying it takes just as much effort to buy a $50,000 house as it does a $200,000 house. You might as well step up a little bit, because once you overcome the hurdle that it's not about your money and it doesn't take your money to buy the houses, then you don't need a price range. And
you remove the risk. We don't personally guarantee that, so there's no more risk in buying that 200 as there is that $2 million house.
Yes. So I want you to go to 1000houses.com/get terms, plural. And that'll get you over the show notes. And then you'll be able to click on the webinar over there and watch Ron explain it.
I'm going to tell you what you're going to get at the end. I'm going to offer you the terms course with a huge discount. And you have an option to get into my live event as well and get a very, very special deal on that. But you got about an hour worth of training there, so you can understand what this terms business is all about. When you understand it, you'll like it.
I love the terms business. I fell in love with it 27 years ago. I can tell you right now, I have $26 million worth of non-recourse, collateral only, wrappable money. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. I wasn't ever born with any special intellect. I just have a lot of common sense and a lot of drive, and I don't take the word no
Yeah.
lightly. You know,
So
I don't.
what you mean to our new listeners is you have $26 million worth of money that people owe you on houses you've sold them with owner financing.
You know what I mean is I owe $26 million
You owe
to
20.
the people I borrowed, and I
Right.
make a payment on that every first. But I'm owed 52 million, and so it all works out fine because I wrapped the I wrapped the 26 million. I mean, I wrapped the 52 million around the 26 million.
Well, that's even better than the 26 I started with, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's what's out today. I mean, that's what's out. The
Yeah.
problem is, you know, when you're seller financing your buyer, your money stays out for a long time. So you know, it's not like a flip where the money's out for 6 months and comes back. I mean,
Yeah.
when I borrow money for my owner finance strategy from a private individual, they're giving me 15 years or 15 years with a 10-year balloon. That money's out for a long time. So I have to keep, you know, finding some new investors.
You're going to have to come to my boot camp because that's not what it is in my world, man. I buy on terms. I don't have any money invested in the house. So I want those money out there for a long time. And I love them. If I'm buying for cash and I borrow private money, I generally cash out of those in the not too distant future. Not always, but there is that short term, not real short, but when we borrow money, we borrow from human beings. And I know you do too. I don't go to loan sharks and brokers. In other words, we name the terms and you know, give them the privilege of making this loan because they're going to get a nice rate of return safely secured by that property. But the private money is shorter term money that I'm taking. I take over a debt that could be 24, 26 years left on it. And when I take it over, that's the term. And there's nobody hounding me to pay them off. So it's different.
And believe me, when you have the chance to get the seller to finance, that's just one less resource you have to pull out of your bag. It's just like adding a resource to your.
You would be shocked at how many of them will sell to us with nothing down. Nothing.
Really?
Down. Yeah. You want to learn how we get so many nothing down deals?
How?
Okay. Well, I'll tell you right after the break. Okay.
Right after you take a break and go to his webinar.
Okay. It's all in the script, man. Here's how it works. First of all, you get a lead. Either you're calling the seller or they're calling you. Okay. That lead goes to my virtual assistants to call, which they call about 50,000 of them a month for our students. And they fill out the property information sheet. So that's grunt work my students don't have to do. All right. Now here comes the property information sheet. Now it's the student's job to make the closing call, but they use my scripts. Very simple scripts, but very powerful, very, very powerful scripts. All right. So when the VA is filling out the form, they're asking them, would you be okay if we made a monthly payment for you until it gets paid off sometime in the future? And if the answer is yes, or if it's free and clear, and would you be all right with us making you a payment until we can pay you off in the future? If the answer is yes to those questions, that's what we call a yes lead. Okay. Either whether it's a yes or no lead, the seller is going to get called back because no doesn't mean no. It means I didn't understand your question is what it really means. So I have a script for the no's and I have a script for the yeses. So I'll give you the script for the yeses here real simple, and you'll see why we get so many nothing down deals. So it starts off with, hey, Mitch, I see you talked to my assistant yesterday about the house for sale, and I'm following up on the principal. You got a minute? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Well, you've indicated here that you're okay if we can agree on the terms for me making your payment until we can pay you off in the future. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Well, listen, I only got 3 questions for you. If we could agree upon the terms, what is the least you could take for the house? You're going to give me an answer.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, is that the best you can do, Mitch? And you're going to give me a lower answer. Then I'm going to stop there. My next question, though, is we usually buy with nothing down, okay?
Okay.
And it says right in my script, shut up. Wait for an answer, okay? It was what, because if they say okay, then you move on. If they don't say okay, then what is the least you could take down? And we get the answer. Okay, that answer is going to determine whether I want to buy their house or not. They want this great big giant down payment. There's no sense in going to look. And then there's the third question. So are you okay with me making your payment until we get you paid off sometime in the future? Those are only 3 questions they need to know the answers to make an appointment. Okay, we even have an appointment script to make sure that we're talking to the owners and make sure that they're going to be there and that they're ready to do business. So by using those scripts, just that one question, we usually buy with nothing down, okay. You'd be surprised how many people just say, okay. Okay, okay. And I teach my people, don't beg, because everybody begs. They don't know they're begging. It's in the tone of their voice. If they talk too much, they're begging. They talk too fast, they're begging. So we got to fix that closing call. Once we fix that, Katie bar the door, it just opens up a whole new world of opportunity. Make a handful of calls, and next thing you know, you got a contract or 2 or 3 on a house with terms. And of course, the biggest question in our listeners' minds right now is, well, the market is so hot. How can we get terms? Can't be any terms out there in this market. There are terms in this market. There always will be terms. There always was terms for a lot of reasons. People, well, for example, especially if the seller don't have any money coming, I've taken over their debt's a huge benefit to them. They don't have any money coming, but even if they do, most of the ones that we deal with are willing to wait on it later. So I'm not looking for the majority, I'm looking for the minority, but there's a never ending supply of people do terms. The last boot camp we did 19 terms deals in that 1 4-day boot camp where the students brought in the leads and we called them for them and negotiated deals.
Wow.
Plenty of terms
Wow, that's
deals.
impressive. So again, go to 1000houses.com/get terms and get over there to the show notes and watch the webinar and get a taste for what Ron's talking about. He's talking about how to get the seller to finance you the sale of the property so that you have no money out of your pocket.
Yeah.
This plays right into the theory that you don't need your own money to do well in real estate. If you don't have a bunch of money, then you got to pick strategies that allow you to function with a minimal sized bank account. So this is what it's all about.
Especially in Texas, you guys got it real good. You got almost no closing costs out there.
Yeah, we have a lot of things good out here.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You do.
Don't tell everybody, Ron. They need to stay where they're at. They don't need to move down here.
Okay, I won't tell anybody. Hey, like my
too late. They're already moving here by the droves.
I wore a Texas shirt here today just for you, man. Huh? See that?
I saw that Southwest shirt.
Okay.
So you have to come out. You need to take me fishing one time, and I'll take you out to my ranch one time. We'll have fun.
I would love it.
All right, man. Again, go to 1000houses.com/get terms. This is where you learn that it's just as easy to buy a pretty house as it is an ugly house.
Easier.
You don't have to have money to make $1 or even get rich for that matter. It won't be easy. You won't be able to sit on the sofa in front of your TV and get this done. But if you have some initiative and you have some drive, then all you're lacking right now is the knowledge. And knowledge is the key to change everything.
True.
You want to learn something specific, you got to go to the guy who has specifically done that for years. And if you're looking to buy houses on terms, this guy right here, Ron LeGrand, has done it as many and as often as anybody could probably hope to do it. So he knows what he's doing. If you want to flounder around and try to figure it out on your own, hopefully you'll get it figured out before you quit. That's the danger of going on your own. If you don't figure it out pretty fast, you'll quit. So why don't you just get with someone who can get you there fast and make sure that you have this career way out into the future. I almost quit this business when things got hard, and I stumbled around and hired a mentor on accident. Like, never really had heard of that. No one had ever talked to me about hiring a mentor. I just did it. And to think how close I came to walking away from this business that's been worth millions to me because I found the right mentor at the right time, and he stopped me from continuing to make big mistakes. So, all right, my friends, go to 1000houses.com/get terms. This is Mitch Stephen with the 1000houses.com podcast. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for stopping by to get you some Ron LeGrand. And I would also like to thank taxfreefuture.com. If you're thinking about a self-directed retirement plan that's either tax deferred or tax free, please, before you do anything, contact taxfreefuture.com. Make sure you listen to those little video vignettes and learn why I believe you should pick that company over all other companies. There's a lot of reasons, and you may not be aware of them if someone doesn't talk to you about it. All right, we're out of here. Thank you so much, Ron. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure.
I will talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.